Greetings folks, today I can proudly present you an update and I would say upgrade for one of my favorite builds, the Battlemage. Ready for New Game Plus Veteran difficulty. This is a critical strike spellcaster melee hybrid, so meeting our critical quota is kinda important as you can imagine. This build however is quite aggressive, and I mean very aggressive, so don't be shy. Go in, you either seal the deal or you better have a save file ready. In this video I will go through the stats, the perks, gear options and locations, and most of that stuff. However, many of the information contained in my previous build regarding the early acts still apply, so you can go and check that video out in the description. There is also gonna be a link there to Map Genie with the location of most of the stuff I'm talking about, or you can just watch the video, I guess. Let's begin. Alright, let's look at our items. This is an hybrid build. Most of the items on this build are replaceable, however there are two items that cannot be replaced. The first one is the doublet of the last Jest. This is an end of Act 2 item. It will give us a lot of physical damage and spell power. The only downside is a penalty on incoming healing, which doesn't matter because this is a life leech build. Each time we deal a critical hit, we will go back full life. The other item is gonna be another Act 2 item, which are the Hexgrip Vambrace, which will convert 50% of our spell power in extra physical damage, which makes the doublet of the last Jest even more powerful. Now, let's look at our weapon. This build can use a wide selection of weapon. The only change is gonna be during the early leveling that you will have to meet the early requirement, which is not a problem. If you played my previous build, we're still gonna use Shadowfang River. However, it's not the only viable option. We can also use a Smuggler Knife. In that case, we will have to do a couple of changes. Yes, Smuggler Knife got nerfed, however, we can still stack a lot of critical damage thanks to it. The only downside is that the base damage of this weapon is gonna be a little lower. Also, if you go with Smuggler Knife, you want to be in lightweight, so you will have to lower the weight of your armor through the workbench. In alternative, there is the Arcanist Sword, which is gonna be your leveling weapon, at least for Act 1. It has a lot of synergy with Spellblades and Battle Mages, so it's still a good weapon. This one is from Act 1, very easy to get. Other option is also free if you don't want to buy Shadowfang River. Duelist Blade is also a solid weapon. 50% critical damage active all the time, melee critical chance which is useful during leveling, and extra damage on bosses. For spells, keep this in mind in New Game Plus. The same version of the spells will come upgraded, it will deal more damage, but it will also cost mana. In this build you will not have mana problems, at least until New Game Plus, and that can be easily fixable. For spells, just use any spell that you want. For Helmet, my suggestion is Crow. You get this from the Morrigan questline. The Morrigan questline has a lot of amazing items even during leveling. The Fledgling set is also very good. In alternative, if you're struggling with mana, you can craft yourself the SpellWarden helmet, or if you played my previous build and you still have the Crown of the Netherbloom, you can still use that one. However, due to the changes of critical strike, now we're spending more time with our stamina being empty, so it's not as effective. You can also use the Archdruid helmet if you want. While you level up in Act 1 and in early Act 2, you can use Druid Shrine sets. For back item, anything that gives you critical chance is good, especially in the base game you will be low on critical chance, so you can use Walker's Totem from Act 1, you can craft the Winged Cavalier backplate. This one is from Act 3. For Amulet, I would suggest the Amulet of the Novice Ogre Hunter. Due to our self-healing, we will have this 63% bonus damage up most of the time. The only time where this amulet doesn't have a 100% uptime is on bosses that we cannot stagger, but ideally that uptime is still gonna be high because either we hit the boss and we self-heal, or the boss will kill us, which is very simple. For alternative during leveling in the base game, doesn't matter New Game Plus or not, because while the Amulet of the Ogre Hunter is better in New Game Plus, 63 versus 33, the Stonewarden Talisman got nerfed and is still 10% between base game and New Game Plus, sadly. For rings, I would advise Critical Strike Ring, because we need Critical Strike on this build, especially because we're gonna be lower. In alternative, you can use mana rings, it's up to you. However, do not lower your critical strike too much or this build will feel like crap. For pants, We're gonna use Crow for critical damage. Before we use Crow, and pretty much I used these pants throughout most of the game. Fledgling Breeches for more critical chance. They also get this one from Morrigan questline. I will go in detail about that later. For boots, you can go with Ornate Warden, or you can go with Spellslinger. Okay, let's look at our attributes. We are a critical strike build, so we need to meet at least 80% critical chance. I like to have 100% because when you don't crit, you don't heal. Even though with critical cascade we build up critical strike during battle, the fight tends to be very short. 100% in my opinion, it will feel a lot better. I tried both. During the base game, you will not hit 100% critical chance the whole time, but you will come very close to it. So it still works. The minimum requirement for my gear are the following: 13 strength, 13 endurance, 9 dexterity, 20 spirituality, 3 practicality, at least 15 perception. This is not mandatory. You can still do some changes. For example, if you want to give up Crow Breeches and get Fledgling, in that case you will have 15% extra critical chance from gear and you don't have to put 15 points in perception. Quite simple. You can tailor and adjust this in several ways. There is no correct way to do this. The rest of our points, after we get in New Game Plus, we will struggle with mana. Plus, thanks to our Exit Gloves, it's easier to stack Spirituality, because at least we have a conversion in physical damage, so an increase in melee. This build will stack almost 700 critical damage on my setup. You can get more with upgrades, so that is really not a problem. With our weapon that we use, we will hit for almost 900% critical damage, so our melee hits will hit a lot. Okay, but which stats do I allocate when I level up? My advice is this: 7 spirituality, 6 endurance. These allow us to use most of the magical gear from Act 1. 3 strength, 3 dexterity. This is enough to use Arcanist Sword, a lot of the spells, and some of the magical gear. If you want to level up as a warrior mainly in Act 1, then you need to put 6 strength and 6 endurance first. So you can go for Abig or Duelist gear in Act 1. Afterward, pump that spirituality to 15. Raise that endurance to 13. Finish up getting your strength to 13. Get that... Depending on the weapon that you're gonna use in Act 2, you may need more dexterity than not. I would say 9 dexterity. Then you want 3 perception for our main axe. If you're using Smuggler Knife, you will need 10. That is up to you. Then 3 points in practicality. And afterward, just get that spirituality to 20 and then pump perception. And this will be an advisable way to allocate stats during your leveling. Okay, let's look through our skill tree very fast, very quickly, no time to lose. Spirituality. Max that combat, max that mana, 1 point in strong arm of the Bone Master in dexterity, then marksman maxed, power and swiftness, strength, godly physique, maxed, agile fighter, 3 points, unending assault, 3 points. We go back in spirituality. We're gonna get tiresome wave, executioner, because now we can start to drain stamina. We're gonna drain stamina mainly through spells. Yes, you can do this in melee as well through powerful blows, but however this will require heavy attacks. I personally do not like heavy attacks on this setup, but if you want you can absolutely do this. We're gonna go in perception, 3 points in extra lucky, 1 point in critical cascade, 3 points in arcane mark. Then we're gonna go in practicality, 1 point in bone in armor, 1 point in inner strength. Yes, we don't have a lot of endurance, but it's still 13% extra melee damage. Then we go back in perception, 1 point in respite in cruelty, 2 points in critical aegis, bloodthirst, so we finally have a source of self-healing. Then we continue in perception. We're gonna go for the eyes maxed. Then you have a choice here. This is not mandatory. You can spare yourself 3 points if you want that. However, I still prefer to put crit rings. You can use a blood ring if you want. It's up to you. 2 points in deep wounds. Then we go in practicality. 3 points in affliction. You have to generate this. If you're using a poison spell, you can apply poison easily. It's up to you. You choose that. However, I like bleed because bleed is instant and guaranteed. But only if you can crit, otherwise that becomes a problem. 1 point in Weapon of the Great Theft, in Strength. Then we go back in Practicality, 1 point in Armored Skin, Best Offense, Max that Armor. Next step is gonna be Red Death. You unlock this in Act 2, like all the good things. And then we're gonna max out much of the Red Death 3. Crying Pain needs to be maxed. However, we are not maxing it because of the losing max health. No. Absolutely not. Weeping Success needs to be maxed. 2 points in Long Regret because the stack expires so fast. 3 points in Give In and Give Up. 3 points in Dealing Damage. This one doesn't have a name. Then we go back in Practicality. We're gonna get some extra point in Armored Skin. Afterward, Impactful Spellcasting, Imbibed by the Elements, Elemental Shock for the burst. Then we go back here. 2 points in Invigorating Energy for extra mana. You can get this earlier if you feel your HP are low. It should not be the case, however. Sorcerer Efficiency is needed in New Game Plus for the new spells, because otherwise you will struggle a lot with mana. I also like to put 1 point in Tranquility, but that one is optional as well. It's more like convenience. Then 3 points in Increased Vitality. Then the most important points, you can get this one earlier if you're struggling with staying alive in New Game Plus, which is gonna be Plague Warden. These will pretty much prevent one-shots. It's literally amazing. You can go even further and get Red Death Embrace. However, keep in mind this, when you start New Game Plus at the current state, at the current patch, you lose access to your Red Death skills through Act 1 without this, so do not get too comfortable with Plague Warden. Then I would say for the last few points, or the spare one if you want, because we're already level 100, almost 110. 1 point in Healthy Appetite. Revengeful Restoration should not be needed, but it's still something extra. Rejuvenation, 3 points for when we use food, because sometimes we are in the position of having to use food. Allmother Blessing, but we don't care, we are here for the unnatural resilience. Then Appetite, we are left with 3 points. We're gonna put everything in Quickness Strikes, or if you do not want to have extra attack speed because you feel that is enough, you can even go in Practicality. I tried both versions, both are good. Respite and Cruelty will help with stamina management, but by then ideally everything should be dead, but still. Or you can even go with Swift and Fierce. It will make rushing to the enemy much faster. Now let's go through the location of most of the gear and how to get it.
My king, I understand that what...
I get. If you.
To get the Crow set and the Hatchling set, you need to side with Self during the Children of Morrigan questline. When you meet Vidar for the first time, follow him to the village and then continue the questline. You get the Crow set pretty late in Act 3. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and maybe consider subscribing for more gaming content. I don't know, reviews, builds, whatever crosses my mind and I find entertaining. Have fun playing Tainted Grail and I will see you in the next video. Bye!